you said that women shouldn't be drafted. Why is that?
It would make a weak army, and the other side could essay the women on the woman's side and impregnate them. It would demoralize the army, and it would weaken it.
So women shouldn't be drafted?
No.
Well, how about this, though? Women should be drafted, but they can't have access to frontline combat positions. Are you in favor then?
Is there a limit on how many women are getting drafted? Because someone has to stay home and make babies, you know?
What do you mean?
If more women are getting killed, then it's harder for the world to repopulate.
Oh, so you're talking in some, like, total war...
Like World War II or something.
These situations. Like World War II?
A big war, yeah. That would kill millions of people.
Nah, they should still be drafted.
Just for non-combat roles? That's your argument?
Yeah. For equality.
So no combat for women?
No combat for women.
Okay, I mean, I'm fine with that.
Look, here's the thing, and I'm trying to remember the exact number, but in order to field one combat soldier, so one person in the field in combat, it takes 10 other people in the military, like soldiers, but they're administration, they're cooks, they're mechanical repair. It takes 10 people to field one soldier. So women can occupy positions of support in the military. I don't see a problem with that.
How should that be regulated, though? Should the men be drafted first, and then once there's no men who qualify, the women get drafted, or just at the same time?
I'll answer that question immediately, but I have one question for you. So you're saying in war that a man's duty, like when it comes to forced military conscription in the draft, is to fight in the actual war, right?
Right.
And women should be exempt from military draft.
Yes.
And their duty, so a man's duty is what?
In the war?
Yeah.
To fight?
To fight and potentially die, right?
That could happen.
That's their duty, that's their responsibility, that's their burden, right? I'm going to go ahead and say women shouldn't be drafted for the military. But what about this? Or actually, before I ask the question, you said women's expectation is what?
Their expectation in where?
Well, you said, the reason we don't draft women in the military is so that they can repopulate the country, they can give birth, right?
That's the women's duty.
That's the woman's duty. So would you be in favor then of a draft for women where they're forced to get pregnant?
Are they getting essayed?
No, they can do it consensually, but they are compelled, like, you have to do this.
Well, a lot of people can have health complications with that, so...
Oh, you know what's a really bad health complication?
Death.
Is getting killed on the fucking battlefield.
Okay, it's fine. We can do that.
Okay, so you're fine with a draft. They can pick a partner. Maybe they're already with a partner. They need to get pregnant. And if they don't, I'll even say in this situation, they can't be, they wouldn't be like forced by the government to actually you have to fuck, but there would be penalties if they didn't have children.
Right, and like the same as a war is an extreme situation, that the humans going extinct, that would also be an extreme situation. So both of those require extreme measures, like war requires drafting them.
So you are in favor of a birth draft?
If humans were going extinct, yes.
Well,
what would be the point of the birth draft? The population is not at replacement rate?
No, just it's like, hey, we're in times of war, and let's say these countries that are at war know that they're going to be in a prolonged, like, multi-decade conflict, as some conflicts are. We need women to start birthing people today so that in 20 years, 18 years, we can field more male soldiers and more women to get pregnant.
Yeah, that's an extreme situation that requires extreme measures, and I think I'd be down for that.
Okay, so you're in favor.
Yeah.
So you're against, like, women's bodily autonomy.
I'm not against anyone's bodily autonomy. I'm just saying...
Are you pro-life or pro-choice?
I still struggle with that argument. Because there are some
But so just to be clear, you could not get an abortion if you were birth drafted. So this would be taking away a woman's choice. So are
Right.
you pro-choice or pro-life?
I lean more towards pro-life, but I
Okay.
still have some struggles with that argument.
Mhm.
I do lean more towards pro-life, so I would
mean,
be in favor.
A birth draft is a bit more extreme than like being pro-life, I think.
Well, yeah, of course.
That would be like compelling, because being pro-life just means you don't have access to abortions. Whereas in this case, you're because a woman can just choose to not get pregnant.
Okay.
Like you can move through life as a woman, absent like SA, of course, and like just I never want to get pregnant. There's
Yeah.
nothing that ever forces a woman to have sex, get pregnant, whatever. But this is actually like going a step beyond pro-life position, which is like birth draft. You have to try to get pregnant and give birth.
Well, in case of a war, both genders are doing something extreme to
Okay.
help the country out.
Sure.
So
I mean, I
it
think
is.
you're logically consistent. So, who else is in favor of the birth draft? Anybody? Any other ladies in favor of the birth draft?
Birth draft in the event of, like.
How about this?
We're kind of like overpopulated right now. So.
No, that is
no,
actually
we're not.
quite
We need more
opposite of the
babies.
Yeah, it's the
issue.
opposite.
And that was actually going to be my next question is like, if the basis is that we're in a state of emergency, I could argue that we very much are because our birth rate is not even remotely close to replacement. It's a huge issue, which is another reason I'm sure Elon is getting around.
Actually, China, the reason their country is going to crash is because they don't have enough people being born. Their population
Well, I
is
mean,
declining incredibly.
they're-
Most of their population is too old. I mean,
they're not
their
balanced.
economy is going to fall in the next, what was it, like decade? Because they don't have enough people coming from families.
They're
Yeah.
also not balanced by gender because of
Exactly,
the
yeah, yeah.
because of the one
Yeah, exactly.
So now
I
you've
mean-
got a bunch of men and not that many women, and women are already
Yeah.
super.
It is-
picky.
I didn't know that. So
Yeah, yeah,
same
yeah,
thing
yeah.
with Korea.
It's a
Fascinating,
huge
yeah.
issue. It's
Yeah.
seriously a critical issue.
Yeah.
I did not
It is
know
kind
that.
of interesting
Yeah.
though, because all the argument I hear when it comes to the draft is like, oh, well, the reason that is because women are expected to like we need to protect the women so that they can like repopulate or whatever. But it's interesting that like so women are not expected or forced to have children during war, but that's the entire reason why they are protected to begin with. But they won't do the thing they were protected for them to do. don't
I
know.
mean, I would be interested to see, like, if we actually went into war sometime soon, domestically anyways, if that would actually end up.
Wow. A birth draft?
No, not like a birth draft,
Oh, you
but...
mean the military draft? Just to be clear, I'm not in favor of a birth draft.
Oh, I'm not saying that you are.
Just to be clear, but it's just an interesting conversation to have. So, but okay, you don't think women should be drafted, but you're fine with the birth draft. Good job, Alina. You're a legend. I'm sure a lot of women are going to love you for that take.